So they go on to say, or to ask a really important question, which is, are these other ideas in conflict with the polyvagal theory? And no, I don't think they conflict, but the question is, how do they connect? And I've kind of already said so, but these are mostly top-down reframes, narratives, metaphors that can help to contain a dysregulated state. So these can help with state regulation. It's a top-down, big brain to brainstem signal of, we can understand this. This makes sense. We can understand this. That to me, that's the deepest it goes. Maybe it can help having that reframe, having that metaphor. Maybe it can help you get to the true experience that you're going through. So maybe thinking about yourself as different parts can help you to actually feel what it feels like in your body to have those different parts, maybe. But in reality, there are no other parts. This is a top-down reframe. This is a new narrative. It's an idea. It's a metaphor. There is no shadow state. There are no parts state, as far as I know, for the different internal family members. That's not a thing. That may get you closer. It could get you closer to your state by regulating enough and then looking inward. So it may act as a container that allows you to look inward. In my opinion, and what kind of disinterests me, is that it's an added cognitive layer. And on top of that, this relies on an expert who is giving wisdom. So it relies on an expert who has this breakthrough of, I've discovered this thing about shadow selves, and I've discovered this thing about parts and egos and child selves and true selves and authentic selves, and let me bestow my wisdom. That, because no one's finding this stuff in a lab. There's no blood test about your parts. There's no urine test about ego. These are concepts. They are made up. I'll make one up right now. All right, you've heard it here first. I'll make one up here, all right? So this came from a real therapy session, and I am saying, hey, I discovered this thing. We're going to call it, there's even a therapeutic modality, all right? We're calling it puzzle completion therapy. The idea here is that you have a completed puzzle self, and you're just missing a piece, maybe two, I don't know. You're just missing a puzzle piece to become your completed authentic puzzle self. Now, you need to identify where the missing piece is inside of you. There's a missing piece inside of you somewhere. It is there. And if you do a body scan, you might be able to notice, there's a piece here where I don't know, there's something missing, or maybe it feels like a pain, or maybe that feels like emptiness or a void or something like that. So you might feel like something's missing. And the technique here when it comes to puzzle completion therapy, we don't go straight at the pain. We don't go straight at, maybe a feeling of emptiness, because that could be too much. We don't go straight at it. We don't really address the pain head on. It's not the first thing that we would address in therapy. So instead, just like a puzzle, what we would do is we would address things on the outside edges. You know how like when you do a puzzle, you start on the outside, right? That's the easiest. That's where you can do the most in maybe the shortest amount of time. You start on the edges, and then you gradually work your way in. So it would be things like, not the direct trauma right away, maybe not that pain, that void, whatever it is, the real deep stuff that you're going through that you need help with. No, instead, what we would do is focus on external things like in this specific situation, I was talking to a teenager, and that student, did not want to focus on the inner pain quite yet. And they said, let's work on the things that might be easier. So let's just focus on school. Let's focus on getting schoolwork done. So for you in puzzle completion therapy, that's what we would do. We'd have to focus on the outside stuff, the things that are more manageable, maybe like sleep schedule, maybe things like diet. And these are challenging. I know that. So we'd have to figure out which is the ones that are the most manageable, that we can begin to work on that outside edge and then work our way in. And then, so we would work our way toward the middle pieces, and that would be like the trauma, the stuck defensive state directly. That would be attachments, abandonments. All those things would be toward the middle of your puzzle self. Now, of course, this would not be limited to therapy. I'd have to have also a coaching component. So puzzle completion therapy will be available for coaching soon. And we're going to call that puzzle completion coaching, PCC. And there you go. You got a brand new psychological concept along with a therapeutic modality that sounds, it sounds like something, right? Or close enough. So, hey, there you go. We made one up. The scary thing is, if I did not obviously make this up and really fleshed out the concept, I think I could sell this. I actually think that people would be like, oh, there is a puzzle piece missing. That exactly fits what I'm going through. I personally don't see how that is less plausible than saying, yeah, there is some sort of shadow self. That's just me. All right, so if you're interested in learning more about puzzle completion therapy, just let me know. Email me, and I'll have to make something up for you. All right. This podcast is not therapy, not intended to be therapy or be a replacement for therapy. Nothing in this creates or indicates a therapeutic relationship. Please consult with your therapist or seek for one in your area if you are experiencing mental health symptoms. Nothing in this podcast should be construed to be specific life advice. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. More resources are available in the description of this episode and in the footer of justinlmft.com.